Hello everybody. Hello everybody, thank you for coming along to hear my talk. My name is Sheree Balvert and I'm with Balance-Agri Nutrients, and I'm going to talk to you about Biuret from concept to product development. Now, I know that many of you are familiar with Biuret. You've probably heard a lot about it in this very forum in recent years. In relevant applications for Biuret that are relevant to New Zealand Pinus radiata forestry industry in particular were tested under the Growing Confidence in Forestry's Futures program. Essentially, Biuret is a source of nitrogen that conifers do well on. Other plants, however, seem to display some very negative effects, or what we call phytotoxic effects. This is where the plant growth is impacted severely, sometimes to the point of death, and sometimes from just very, very low amounts of Biuret applied. For conifers, though, and pines in particular, we see some very positive effects on growth, and these growth responses are over and above what we are seeing with the same amount of nitrogen applied in a different form. As well, we are seeing positive effects on the nutrient uptake efficiency of nutrients other than nitrogen. Particularly phosphorus and boron, if they are applied alongside Biuret, we see a much greater uptake efficiency of those nutrients. Biuret appears to have a positive effect on soil microbial function and activity. So the soil microbial pool is being stimulated in some way, and it may even be primed for release of nutrients from the organic nutrient pool. There has also been some evidence of an increased tolerance to disease with plants that have received Biuret. Perhaps the increased plant health and vigour means the overall resistance to disease, if there is an outbreak, is improved. We also have evidence that seedlings grown with Biuret as a nitrogen source outperform stock that was treated with conventional fertilisers when planted out in the field. And what I think is perhaps potentially the most exciting application of this product is if we can manipulate or utilise, as I discussed earlier, that sensitivity of some plants to Biuret. And this could help or result in a reduction in herbicide applications for weed management if the application is timed appropriately. I have environmentally friendly option there in the question mark because theoretically, although yes, yet to be proven, this could be an environmentally friendly option for improving production in Pinus radiata forestry. Biuret is significantly less water soluble than nitrogen in other forms such as urea or DAP, so it should have a much lower potential for nitrogen leaching or nitrogen loss via ammonia volatilisation. As well, if we can have a reduction in herbicide or even fungicide use in these systems, that is obviously also an environmental win. So why balance? Biuret is essentially a plant nutrient or a fertiliser, and this is what Balance does. We manufacture and we distribute fertiliser for our customers. This is our core business, and so this is quite a natural business fit as we see it. As well, Balance owns a urea manufacturing plant in Kapuni in Taranaki, and Biuret is produced through a process similar to that used to make urea. As well, this Kapuni plant is the only urea manufacturing plant in New Zealand, and it is a relatively small plant, which means it is quite agile and can be manipulated to include Biuret manufacture. Balance has a supply chain that has a national footprint. We have the ability to distribute the product throughout the country. As well, we also have an aerial application branch to our company. This is called Super Air, and this will assist with application of Biuret to some of those more remote forestry areas. Balance has an environmental strategy that we are calling Balance with Nature. Through this, we are doing our best to assist our customers to maximise production on their land with the lowest possible footprint. One of the ways we do this is by ensuring we are supplying the most appropriate and best product to enable this. We know that nutrient addition, fertiliser addition in forestry is increasing for increasing production or perhaps shortening rotation lengths in those stands. And it is becoming apparent that Biuret is probably the best product that we should be providing. Less a why Balance, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to point out that Balance has embarked on a Sustainable Farming and Fibre Futures program in partnership with Ministry for Primary Industries. This program has a $25 million R&D spend commitment over the 5 years of the program, and Biuret is a big part of this program. It is not the only project, but it is a significant part. This program has a 60-40 funding split, with Balance paying 60% and MPI 40%. So where are we at? As I said earlier, a lot of the effects or the benefits of Biuret were tested under that GCFF program. However, that program used a product that was 99% or greater Biuret. We know that we cannot create a product on a commercial scale that will have a Biuret content that is that high. So we have done a bit of work to understand what the minimum Biuret requirement that product must have to ensure we are all still observing those benefits. As well, we're cognizant of the fact that that program was largely carried out on a single soil type and in a single region in New Zealand. So we have expanded that research to ensure we are seeing a consistent response across all the different soil types. And next we will be moving into different regions to cover off different climates as well. We would also like to understand what impact Biuret applied early on has over the full life cycle of the stand. We understand it is a long-term investment and we want to ensure that that is safe. Now that work is all very important, but definitely the vast majority of our time and energy and spend at this point is going into these following points. One, the mode of action. At this point, we do not understand how or why we are seeing this response of pine trees to Biuret, and also why we see a starkly different response with other trees. It is really important that we understand how Biuret works to ensure that we will see a consistent response when used in the field and used widely, but also to ensure we won't see any unintended or unintentional consequences, particularly of a negative nature, when this product is more widely used. Environmental and safety impacts, quite obvious why we need to look into these. We have, however, conducted a very in-depth toxicology review of the product, and we are confident that there are minimal safety or toxicological concerns with its use. However, we are required to provide evidence to this point. So we are carrying out some both soil and aquatic toxicology and ecotoxicology studies. As well, it's important that we understand the impact on non-target species. What are the consequences if this product were to wind up on food-producing cropland or farmland or native biodiversity areas, for example? As well, we'd like to look into some of those theoretical environmental gains from the use of Biuret over other nitrogenous fertilisers. Regulatory approval, all this information and all this data that I've mentioned above will be required for us to gain approval to manufacture and sell Biuret within New Zealand. However, as well, the regulatory process in itself is quite lengthy and complex, so we are putting our effort in now to ensure that those ducks are lined up when we do have product available to sell. The engineering puzzle, and this has been a puzzle. Theoretically, it's quite easy to make Biuret. You heat urea until you have Biuret. However, on a larger scale, it is quite difficult to have the control of the reaction to ensure that the end product is what was desired and intended. So we've literally gone back to the drawing board, and this here is a picture of a back of an envelope drawing from one of our engineers, and I think they've had quite a lot of fun figuring out how to play this one. And we have created successfully a product on a lab benchtop scale, and we now have design for which we are going through a business case to build a pilot scale plant. The pilot scale plant will give us the confidence to scale up to a full manufacturing scale plant following that. I wanted to give you a bit of an understanding of the timeline that we are looking at. assuming you are all chomping at the bit to receive this product, I wanted you to know how long you will be waiting. We are looking at a 5 to 8 year program to deliver this product to the forestry industry. We are currently in concept development, and we plan to initiate building of the pilot plant that I just discussed in next year, 2022. This plant will only have the capacity to produce about 500 metric tonnes of product per year. We realise that will only service about 2,000 hectares, if that. However, this will allow for operational scale field trials to ensure we are seeing the benefits of the product. As well, as I said, it will give us confidence in the manufacturing technology to allow us to invest in a commercial scale plant. We anticipate producing Biuret on a commercial scale around 2027. This is essentially my final slide, but I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk through the key drivers of our business case and bust a few myths, if you will, around Biuret. Biuret is not a byproduct of our urea manufacturing process, and we do not have a stockpile of Biuret looking for a home. Biuret is a contaminant in our urea product. However, over the years, the manufacturing process has been streamlined, if you will, to the point that Biuret is significantly less than 1% of our urea product now. This means that specialised capital and equipment will be needed to be invested in order to manufacture Biuret. We will be taking high quality liquid urea from our plant as the feedstock to the Biuret part of the plant. That urea already has a market, and we can sell that today. However, and we then also need to further process that urea to create Biuret. This means that Biuret will be more expensive than urea because it simply costs us more to make. As well, that urea that we are using up here, we need to replace, buy elsewhere and import to service our current market. But Biuret has additional benefits also. This plant, we believe, will be a world first. It has positives and negatives. It is very exciting to be a part of this. In the fertiliser industry, it's not often we get truly new products. However, there are negatives. We are going through the trial and error ourselves, and we don't have any ability to import to seed or prove the market, if you would, before we are required to make a significant capital investment in manufacturing capability. I'm not sure if you noticed in the previous slide when I said commercial production, we are still only looking at about 8,000 metric tonnes per year. And if we have gauged the size of the market correctly, we do not believe that that will service the entire market. But that is for now, and we may be able to scale that up in the future. As well, we believe that it is a large Biuret market. However, it's largely a few of you out there that are just large players, and this is quite different to how we normally operate, and it is perceived as quite a risk for our business case. So you may have had us out knocking on doors or someone on our behalf just to understand what are the key drivers for this product. So to conclude, Biuret is an exciting opportunity for the forestry industry and for Balance. In Balance, we believe Balance is the natural owner for this product. It will be a long journey, but we are well on the way, and we are excited to be doing it alongside you. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.